Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Welcome to English Digest. It's our Taiwan unit. And so we're kind of focusing for the next couple of programs on a really special place in Taiwan that's actually known globally.
It is indeed, and of course we're talking about Din Tai Fung, which is a restaurant that I'm sure lots of you have been to before. I remember that this flagship restaurant, the main restaurant was on Xinilu, but they've expanded to other locations as well. There's also one just down the street on Xinilu, which is several stories tall. There's one in Banqiao. I think there's one also at the Zhongxiao Fuxing MRT station or in the Sogo department store there. And there are probably some in other places around Taiwan as well, and the world.
Yeah, they're very popular. In fact, if you happen to be going by one of these Din Tai Fung, you'll see a long line of people. Usually you don't see that as much, but yeah, people are willing to stand in line for a long time, even in the hot summer, because they love the restaurant or they've heard great things and hope to get a really special meal.
Yeah, of course, the flagship restaurant is not too far from our studio here. And oftentimes I do go past there. And yes, as you said, there are people waiting outside. But lots of them are tourists. You'll hear a lot of different languages being spoken there, like Korean and Japanese. They've read that in the tour books, that is a must-go-to restaurant in Taiwan. So, of course, everybody wants to check it out. And that's what we're talking about today. That's what we're checking out today. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's listen to the entire contents of our lesson now one time. Din Tai Fung isn't merely a restaurant. It's a food phenomenon, attracting eager diners who line up to try its signature dishes. With a daily flow of over 15,000 customers in Taiwan alone, it's hard to exaggerate the attraction of this food giant. Today, let's start a delicious journey through time to explore this respected Taiwanese landmark. The story begins with its founder, Yang Bing-yi, who fled to Taiwan during the Chinese Civil War. It was during his initial employment as a delivery man for a cooking oil retailer that he encountered his future wife, Lai Pen-mei. Following their marriage, they set up their own retail shop specializing in cooking oil. As a tribute to their former employer, Din Tai Fung, and their oil supplier Din Mei Oils, they combined the names to establish their own brand in 1958. Due to the rising popularity of bottled cooking oil, business at Din Tai Fung's oil shop started to decline. Struggling to survive, Yang and his wife took a friend's advice and began selling xiaolongbao to supplement their income in 1972. Little did they know that these humble xiaolongbao would become a game changer. Din Tai Fung's xiaolongbao, renowned for its delicate skin and flavorful soup, became an instant sensation. As their business flourished, the couple made the decision to transform their oil shop into a full-scale restaurant. In 1993, Din Tai Fung was voted one of the top 10 restaurants by the New York Times, marking a significant milestone for Taiwanese cuisine on the global stage.
Okay, guys, let's start. So, Din Tai Fung isn't merely a restaurant. Yeah, we're talking about something that's become quite famous and kind of synonymous with Taiwan if you're a foodie or you track restaurants globally that are places to go and eat at. If you happen to visit that country, Din Tai Fung is actually in really famous travel books and restaurant books around the world as a place you should go and check out. So if you are talking about a place's legacy, you're talking about their history and kind of what someone has done in their lifetime and left behind, but also some of the things they're famous for. What's your legacy? What's that person's legacy? You don't have to be dead already to have a legacy, but a lot of times you talk about people who have passed away, and their legacy is usually the things they've done throughout their lifetime and their posterity, their families they've left behind. A restaurant's a little different, though.
Yeah, you could basically say it's just a famous history or a history of being famous. So that's what we're going to bite into today. Of course, when you eat something, you bite into it.
Yeah.
Especially if you try it for the first time. Go ahead, bite into the pizza. It's a special recipe. Well, here in the first paragraph it says, Din Tai Fung isn't merely a restaurant, it's a food phenomenon attracting eager diners who line up to try its signature dishes. So here we've got the word merely. That just means only. It isn't only a restaurant. It isn't just a restaurant. It's actually a food phenomenon. And a phenomenon, of course, is something that happens. It's usually something that is spectacular or really great. So indeed, it's not just a restaurant like a noodle shop on your street or something. It's nice, the noodle ramen there is really tasty, but you wouldn't call it a food phenomenon. It's just a local restaurant. But here, Din Tai Fung is a famous restaurant, so it is a food phenomenon. And it attracts those eager diners who want to try the signature dishes. Signature can mean when you sign your name at the bottom of a document. I need your signature here on this form before we can lend you any money to buy your new car. But in this particular case, we're just talking about something that is really unique to that restaurant. It's a dish that only that restaurant has.
Yeah, if you are an artist in particular, you'll usually have some sort of signature that people associate just with you. If they see it, they'll go, "Oh, I know who the designer is," especially clothes. I was just thinking on my way over here about the wraparound dress was first designed by Diane von Furstenberg, and she's just famous for it. Like, that's her signature style. Lots of chefs, if you go to their restaurants, they'll have a signature dish, the chef special that they will want you to try out. Or some people just have, their unique way of doing things, So they'll have some sort of signature that you can identify that as being associated with somebody. It could be a person or a thing. So they have some signature dishes, of course. So with a daily flow of over 15,000 customers in Taiwan alone, that's a lot of xiaolong bao every day to make. It's hard to exaggerate the attraction of this food giant. It's considered to be a big, big restaurant here in Taiwan in particular. Now, if you're going to talk about an attraction, here we're talking about a place that people go to because it has some sort of entertainment aspect to it, or there's something beautiful to see. Usually we talk about this as a tourist attraction.
Right.
Usually if you go traveling and you go to a country, they have several very famous attractions that are must see, must do, must go. And Din Tai Fung is like that here in Taiwan.
Exactly. It's an attraction for people who like food. I don't think I'd call it a tourist attraction so much. That might be a museum or a landmark or something like that. But
I don't know. I think it could be. I mean, you've seen the lines, and the people
true,
are coming
yeah.
from other countries. Oftentimes, you don't hear Chinese, it's some other language.
True. Anything that attracts people's attention or
Yeah.
brings them to it is an attraction. And yes, people cannot resist the attraction of the food at this food giant, at this very famous restaurant. Today, let's start a delicious journey through time to explore this respected Taiwanese landmark. So if you're taking a journey through time, of course, you're probably talking about the history of something. And this is a Taiwanese landmark. A landmark usually is something physical, an object or something in the landscape that people can see and recognize, like when you're driving from the south and you get close to Taipei. Oh, there's Taipei 101. It's a famous landmark in Taipei. Of course, different cities in Taiwan have different landmarks, or different uniquely shaped mountains, for example, might be considered a landmark, like the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, the USA, is a famous landmark there. But in this case, we're just talking about a place that's very famous, and people often associate Taiwan with this place.
You know, oftentimes if I'm walking around streets, maybe I've just finished a job and I'm trying to get home and I'm not familiar with the neighborhood, I'll often look up and see where 101 is. Because if I can see where 101 is, I know if I'm walking in the right direction. So, yeah, that's a true landmark. So the story begins with its founder, who actually founded this place. A founder is someone who started up some sort of organization or restaurant or store. They were the ones who began it. So we have a founder, and his last name is Yang being E, and he fled to Taiwan during the Chinese Civil War. So we know from this sentence that he came from China. So, and when he got here, you know, he was probably needing some work. So it was during his initial employment. Initial here means first. So his first job, initial employment, as a delivery man for a cooking oil retailer. Retailer is someone who sells something, and this person was selling cooking oil, and he was delivering for them. That he encountered or ran into his future wife. Lai Pen Mei is her name. Yeah, Lai Pen Mei. Oh, so that first job was pretty important for Mr. Yang in his life.
It's basically where he met her.
Yeah.
And following their marriage, after they got married, they set up their own retail shop specializing in cooking oil. So they got married and they decided to open a store together. They started to do business together. And they opened a retail shop. If something's retail, that means they're just selling things in the store, selling goods to the public in usually small amounts, like those 杂货店, I guess you'd call it a general store. They are retail shops. They sell all sorts of stuff. 7-Eleven, Family Mart, etc., High Life, they're all retail shops. And in this particular case, their retail shop specialized in cooking oil. So if you specialize in something, that's the main thing that you do. It's the main thing that you're good at. You concentrate on that thing. They mainly sold cooking oil. Maybe they sold some other things, but their main product was cooking oil, oil to use for cooking.
So Yang and Lai got married, and following their marriage, they set up their own retail shop. So his first job, he was working for someone else. And of course, he probably wanted to be his own boss. That's very popular in Taiwan. You want to be your own boss. So he and his wife set up or founded their own retail shop. And again, if it's retail, they're selling things. Whatever product it is, that's what retail means. So they were specializing in cooking oil. You can specialize in lots of different things. Some stores specialize in particular products, but if you're a lawyer, you might specialize in a particular line of law or field of law. Or maybe you are... maybe you're an artist and you specialize in some sort of medium like oil paints, or maybe you're a sculptor. So you can specialize in different things. When he first started out with his wife, they were focusing on selling cooking oil.
Indeed, and we'll continue talking about Din Tai Fung and its history in just a couple of seconds, but right now we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.Hello
everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是10月3号 Unit2 Biting into the Din Tai Fung Legacy Day 1。这个单元介绍的是闻名全球的台湾餐饮品牌鼎泰丰。有许多听众可能曾经到台北永康街品尝过创始店的小笼汤包。不过，大家知不知道鼎泰丰创业背后的故事呢？其实鼎泰丰一开始并不是一家餐厅，而是一家贩卖食用油的油行。相信这个简单的介绍已经引发同学的好奇心了。好，那我们一起来看看学习重点吧。我们请同学先看到第一段的第一句，鼎泰丰 isn't merely a restaurant。这里，好，请同学可以保持警觉。在英文的文章里面当我们看到 isn't merely 的时候，请注意啊。其实后面呢常常藏着重点，就是不只是什么，还是什么。好，所以重点呢应该是鼎泰丰 is a food phenomenon。重点呢，它在美食界来说，可以算是一个非常突出的现象。 attracting eager diners who line up to try its signature dishes. 有很多喜欢品尝美食的人会大排长龙，就是为了想要尝试它的 signature dishes， 就是招牌菜。好，再来请同学呢看到第二句 with a daily flow of over 15,000 customers 这边，请同学注意，这里就是在讲客流量。A daily flow of over 15,000 customers. 好，所以请同学呢特别把它画起来。再来第三句这里，这篇文章是要带着我们去回顾鼎泰丰的历史，所以这边英文的句子写 Let's start a delicious journey through time. 所以呢，我们是顺着时间轴来回顾鼎泰丰这家餐厅从创业到后来的发展，到底经历了哪些历程。再来，请同学看到第二段的第一个句子，特别呢就是在关系子句逗点之后 who fled to 这边，请同学特别注意，这个逗点之后的关系子句是属于非限定修饰，因为鼎泰丰的创办人杨秉仪先生，那他其实不需要任何的关系子句来做区别，所以这算是补充说明，非限定修饰。再来第二点，请同学特别注意的是 fled to。 fled 这个字它的原型是 flee， 那 flee 呢其实可以当作及物动词来用，所以呢我们可以说 The defeated military leader was forced to flee China。 所以呢这位军事将领他被打败了，后来呢就被迫必须要逃离中国 flee China。那我们看到原文的这个句子 fled to， 所以加了一个 to 的时候呢，其实是你逃到什么地方。再来，请同学看到第二个句子 it was 这个句子，请同学特别从 during 开始括号，那一直到 that 前面呢是右括号，这个部分就是我们讲的所谓分列句强调的地方。在这里呢其实是要强调时间点，就是鼎泰丰创办人杨秉仪一刚开始在食用油油行送货的时候，遇到了他后来的妻子。好，所以这就是分列句强调句的句型，特别要强调时间点。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're spending a couple of days, a couple of programs talking about Din Tai Fung, which is a very famous restaurant, not just here in Asia, but globally. They've made some very famous review books for cooks or for restaurants. You know, if you want to go to a famous place, it has been rated or ranked highly by food critics. You will want to go to Din Tai Fung. I was very proud when they first made it into one of the food critic books that I used to read when I was in New York. I thought, wow, that's big time. They're pretty famous. And so I had to go. I liked the food a lot. And it was the only place, Tom, in Taiwan where I actually felt like I was in America because they kind of push you out if you stay too long.
Right.
And in most restaurants in Taiwan, they just let you sit there for a long time. Unless it's lunch hour, maybe they're trying to get people, they want to turn over tables, that's what we call it. They want other guests to sit down so they can make more money. But in Din Tai Fung, they would come by the table and it was almost like, are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
They got people waiting outside, so they have to move people through. And indeed, we did talk about the history. It all begins with young Bing Yi, who came to Taiwan during the Chinese Civil War, the one that Mao Zedong won. The communists took over, and a bunch of people came over to Taiwan from the mainland and set up restaurants and other kinds of businesses. And young Bing Yi was one of them, and he began working working as a delivery man for a cooking oil retailer. He met his wife, Lai Pen-mei, and they got married. And then they set up their own retail shop, which specialized in cooking oil. And as a tribute to their former employer, Din Tai Fung, and their oil supplier, Ding Mei Oils, they combined the names to establish their own brand in 1958. So we're talking about this being a tribute to their former employer in recognition of the nice things that that company did for them. They gave them an opportunity to work, to make money, to set themselves up, so they wanted to be grateful. And, of course, they did this as a tribute to their former employer. They took the words Tai Fung from the name of that company, and then they took the name Din from Din Mei Oils and combined them. They used them together to establish their own brand in the year 1958.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I always wondered why they had that name, or the restaurant had that particular name. So due to the rising popularity of bottled cooking oil, business at Din Tai Fung's oil shop started to decline. So things were a little different back then. People weren't buying their bottled cooking oil like we do today in grocery stores. There was a different way of selling oil. So if something starts to decline, it's going down. Sometimes if you're driving on the road in an English-speaking country, it will have warning signs like steep incline or steep decline, which is warning those big trucks. Better be careful. You don't want your brakes to go out while you're going down a steep decline. So decline means to become smaller or fewer or less, or just to decrease in some way. So the sales were decreasing. They weren't getting enough sales.
Okay, yes, you could say the crime rate is declining, the birth rate is declining. They're all going down in numbers. And struggling to survive, Yang and his wife took a friend's advice and began selling xiaolongbao to supplement their income in 1972. So they were struggling to survive. They weren't making enough money. They were afraid they may have to close their store. But then a friend of theirs had some advice. Well, here's what I think you should do, okay? I have some advice for you. Maybe you should sell some food like xiaolongbao, okay? You can supplement your income, and they began doing that in 1972. So maybe the friend had tried their xiaolongbao before and thought, hey, you guys really know how to make some good xiaolongbao. You know, it's hard to find xiaolongbao that's that good.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys ought to make some and sell it, and you can supplement your income. To supplement just means to add something. They're going to make a little more money that way.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit more to what you have. I've tried a lot of xiaolongbao around Taipei area at least. Every time I see them and I'm walking by a place that sells them, I will buy some. I love them. So I can say that they have some of the best tasting xiaolongbao I've had. So they began selling these xiaolongbao just to add to their income, and little did they know, which means they were kind of surprised that these humble xiaolongbao that they were making would become a game changer. If something's a game changer, it changes everything. It changes the trajectory. It changes you maybe going on to lose a game to suddenly winning the game. It doesn't have to be in sports, though. If you're a company and you haven't been doing well, but then you come up with a new product that people love, that's a game changer because it turns your failure or your inability to do well into a success. So that's a game changer.
Yep, so little did they know. That just means they had no way of knowing back then. They didn't know what was going to happen in the future. They were going to be surprised that the xiaolongbao would become a major game changer, not only in their lives, but also in the food scene in Taiwan. And here in the final paragraph it says, Din Tai Fung's xiaolongbao, renowned or famous for its delicate skin and flavorful soup, became an instant sensation. So that's one way we can describe the xiaolongbao here. They're famous or renowned for having delicate skin. Delicate is of a very fine quality. In this particular case, though, it's nice and thin and very tasty. It tastes good, but it also feels good in your mouth when you chew it. And then it has this kind of soup inside the xiaolongbao that sort of bursts forth as you bite into it, and it's oh so tasty. It is a wonderful sensation.
Yeah, when you bite into them, you need to make sure your mouth is completely closed. Otherwise, that juice can shoot out and hit you or maybe somebody else at the table. I've had that happen. So it is renowned or very famous for its delicate skin. Delicate just means easily hurt. It's very fine in texture or structure. I love their xiaolongbao, especially because of the skin. It's so thin, it's nice. And it's very difficult to make the skin that thin and have 18 folds. Remember, they have a lot of beautiful folds that those artists who make them can do. I love watching them make them. So is their business flourished, which means just really grew and did very well. The couple made the decision to transform their oil shop into a full-scale restaurant. Full scale just means they serve other dishes, probably would have a complete menu for dinner and lunch. And Din Tai Fung was then voted one of the top 10 restaurants by the New York Times in 1993. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm wondering if their oil restaurant was in the same location where Din Tai Fung is right now. I kind of doubt it, though, because the current location is multi-storied. Maybe is it 3 or 4 stories or something like that?
Yeah.
Plus other branch restaurants as well. So again, in 1993, Din Tai Fung was voted as one of the top restaurants by the New York Times, marking a significant milestone for Taiwanese cuisine on the global stage. So yes, this happened way back in 1993. It probably happens in other years as well. It's rated by, well, not only the New York Times, but other publications around the world as being a really great restaurant. So that marked a significant milestone for Taiwanese cuisine. If it marks a milestone, that means it's a major happening. It's a major event that they can take note of in their history. And of course, it was a significant milestone for Taiwanese cuisine. Cuisine just means fine dining. I suppose there was another significant milestone for Din Tai Fung when Tom Cruise went there and he tried to make some xiaolongbao with the chefs there. I believe that happened about 10 years ago or so.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, so it's a particular style of cooking that is characteristic of a particular place. And we know that that's a particular favorite, we should say, of people here. Well, we're not done talking about Din Tai Fung, but we have to finish for today. We're out of time. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time.
接下来，请同学看到第3段。第3段呢，我们知道杨秉仪先生虽然创立了鼎泰丰，不过他并不是要做餐饮生意，而是卖油的。第3段告诉我们，为什么后来鼎泰丰会成为一家餐厅的名字。原来是因为罐装油越来越普遍，他们油行的生意一落千丈，为了贴补家计，不得不卖起小笼包。好，那我们来看一下第一个句子，有讲到生意后来做了越来越不好，那我们怎么讲呢？ Business started to decline， 生意呢开始慢慢的越来越差。好，再来第2个句子，有讲到老师刚刚所说的贴补家计 supplement their income。 再来第3个句子，请同学特别注意，这其实是一个倒装句，否定副词 little 在句首的时候，我们用倒装句 little did they know that。好，所以就是他们当时并不知道。好，再来请同学看到我们第4段的地方。第4段这里，请同学特别注意的是第一个句子最后面这个 an instant sensation。an instant sensation， 那也因为鼎泰丰它的小笼包面皮薄嫩，肉质鲜美，所以一下子就声名大噪了。那这个 instant 呢，就表示非常的快速、立即的。sensation 呢，就是这一些引起轰动的人事物，我们可以用 sensation。an instant sensation， 所以就一下子就声名大噪了。好，再来，请同学看到第2个句子的动词 flourish。flourish 本来呢是指植物它长得非常繁茂的样子，不过这里也可以用来形容生意他们的生意呢后来变得非常的好。好，以上就是我们针对鼎泰丰这篇文章第1天课程所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That's it for today's lesson, but as Stephanie said, we've got more to say about Din Tai Fung, so please join us for our program next time. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.